Hi, I'm Lauren.
And I'm Christina.
And this is our podcast, Let's Chew the Fat.
Hello. I don't know how we do this.
Just say hi.
Hi. We are on a lot of adrenaline right now because we just interviewed Sarah Thompson. You might know her.
Sarah L. Thompson.
Sorry, Sarah L. Thompson. You might know her from TikTok. I know her from TikTok or Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
She lives in Italy. She's been living in Italy for 8 years now, so we just wanted to hear about her experience and learn from her wisdom since she's been doing this for a longer time than we have.
Yeah. Which we did learn a lot.
We learned a lot.
And we're just all smiley because it was just such a nice time with her. Also, the setup is different. It's technically just for this episode, but we're thinking about shaking things up a little bit because we like it. So,
but yeah, you can hear more about the conversation we had with her in the main part of this episode. Yeah, we're very excited about it.
I have a question for you now.
Oh.
What made you happy this week?
This week? Let me think.
I mean, you can go with all year, but I'm particularly interested in 1 week.
Okay, can I give you 3 things?
Of course.
Okay, so the conversation with Sarah Thompson made me happy. Then I really enjoyed the weekend because we have 3-day weekends now. Every weekend's a 3-day weekend. And it was really nice. I got a lot of stuff done. I got into a nice, like, productive but not stressful mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would say maybe forgetting everything. Well, we went to play paddle finally, which was a lot of fun. We won. No surprises there.
Whatever Paula says, we won.
We put up a good fight.
Last, what is it called? Match.
Oh, that sounds
match
like we
point.
lost. We didn't put up a good fight. We won.
Well, we did put up a good fight, but we won.
Yeah. And Paula changed the rules in the middle, and we won on both accounts. Like, we won as in we won more sets than she won. And then when it was 5-2, she was like, let's say whoever wins the next match sorry, my terminology is not great. Wins the whole game. And we won that too.
Yeah, I mean, the last one was really tough because it kept going from like 40-40 to 40 advantage. And then it went back to 40. But, did you notice that a lot of the times it went from 40 on our side to advantage on their side? And we always, what did we do? We held on. And
we held on.
We fight it.
We got it back to our side.
We fight it. We fought. and we won.
At some point, Christina goes to me, why do you always manage to get the difficult ones and fail on the easy ones?
No, but I meant me too. I meant the both of us. I wasn't mean at
I mean, I didn't take it as an attack, but that's the moment when I was like, okay, this is serious. What were your happiest moments?
I have 2 specific ones. Okay. I just forgot the second. Oh, no. I remembered. So.
Oh, I have another one.
What is it?
Well, maybe you're going to say it.
What is it?
The conversation we had with our friends in the group chat.
No, I was going to say something else. Go ahead.
Also, was it yesterday or the day before? I don't know. We were just talking in the group chat. We were I think Sada was having a hard time. We were offering mental support. Well, us two, not so much. The others were giving advice. And we, an hour later, went into the group chat and said, same. We agree with all the advice. Anyway, at some point, Christina decides to message us about, like, how she's so happy that, like, we found each other and that, like, we have this great, like, safe friend group and everything. And then everybody else started messaging, and it was just the most beautiful thing. And it made me appreciate the friends we have here so much because I feel like everybody's so supportive of everything we do, of, like, passions, and always, like, encouraging each other to try out new things. And, I think it also happened, because of Laura's new podcast. Right?
That started
She mentioned us in her episode. We need to mention her in this episode. Go check
I mentioned her in my personal
podcast Inception. So, yeah, and that just made me so thankful for all the friends we have here.
Yeah. I started this whole emotional roller coaster.
And, like, it was late in the evening. And then, like, half of the people responded right then and there with, like, these emotional or heartfelt messages. And then the other half read them at 7 a.m. the next morning. It was like, don't make me cry at 7 a.m. And it was just beautiful. It made me really happy.
Yeah. So my 2 things are, first, was it 2-3 days ago, where we're walking either on our way to school or from school. I can't remember. You still have no clue?
Oh, I know.
And no, where were we going? I don't know. It doesn't matter. The thing is, I picked up, actually, for people who are watching on YouTube, you can see I picked up castañas. What are they in English? Chestnut? No. Yes?
Yeah, let's go with chestnuts. Regala in Swiss German.
Kastanie in Czech. And they made me so incredibly happy. Honestly, that happens every year. Like, I start walking. We come to Spain after our summer.
Start walking.
And then I go outside, and like only a couple days after we come, there are chestnuts, castañas, kastanie, what's the word in German?
Regala.
and I just see them, and they're just beautiful, and I pick them up, and I am in fall, or the fall is here.
One or the other.
But there's one more moment connected to this, which was we were walking back from school, and I just, like, we were talking, and all of a sudden I scared Lauren, because I was like, oh! And then I smelled fall. I don't know how else to explain it, but I just smelled fall. And it was the most beautiful thing ever. I am kind of obsessed with fall.
I did not smell fall. I took a deep breath, and I just could not
I did. I'm obsessed with fall, especially here in Madrid, because, like, back home,
that's true.
You know, I wouldn't enjoy it as much because it just gets cold, brown.
Rain.
Yeah, no sun. Whereas here, it's all the
true.
colors.
Fall
sun.
in Madrid is beautiful.
Exactly. So that's the one moment. And then I have the other thing, which is last week on Thursday, I went for an evening/night walk. For Spanish people, it's probably evening. For me, it's night.
The late afternoon.
I swear it was dark outside already.
Well, okay. That's the evening.
So I was going back from my walk, and these 2 people on a bike stopped me because I wanted to, go around them and just continue on with my walk. And they stopped me, and they were like, oh, do you know where the train station is? And at that moment, it felt so cool to be like a local.
I love when people ask me for directions here.
And then I was like, yeah, you cross the bridge, go to the right, blah, blah, blah. And it made me so happy in that moment because, one, I must look Spanish if they ask me.
Look at us.
No, but it is really nice when you finally feel like, I mean, I don't feel necessarily like a local, but like I know my way around here. I know where things are, and it just made me really happy to like be able to help somebody with directions, specifically somewhere where I moved, and I'm technically a foreigner, an expat, so
that's true.
That's my other moment. Yeah. So this is what you're gonna get from the first part this week, right?
Yeah, because we wanted to like the interviews.
Yeah, the
main thing.
So, you head into the next part. We really enjoyed recording with her, so I hope you get as much information and advice and just nice podcast content out of it as you can, and we'll hear you in a couple of minutes in the last part.
Welcome to our podcast. We're very excited to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I started following you a while back on TikTok and started following along on your journey and experiencing your life abroad through the content that you create. And today we get the opportunity to ask you more questions, and we're really excited about that. So yeah, we can just get right into it. First of all, you live in Italy now, and maybe just catch us up on how you ended up there?
So, oh man, yes, I live in Italy. I live in the south of Italy along the Amalfi Coast, in this tiny little village called Sant'Agata sui Due Golfi. It's actually very close to Sorrento, but it's absolutely beautiful. I love it. So basically, long story short, in spring of 2014, I decided to study abroad in Rome. And I absolutely loved Rome. It was the first time I ever was abroad, and I fell in love with it. It was a beautiful city. Honestly, if I didn't live where I live right now, I would probably live in Rome. And so I was studying abroad in Rome, and then me and one of my best friends, we wanted to stay in Italy for the summer because it was our last summer before our senior year of university, before we had to find, real jobs after graduating. So we're like, let's rather gonna have a fun summer back at home or find a summer job here in Italy. So that's what we tried to do. We applied for like teaching English in Umbria. We didn't get the job because I had no experience whatsoever teaching English. And thankfully our program leader, we literally asked him every single day, have you heard of anyone who needs English speaking girls to work at their, whatever it may be, in Italy? And thankfully his friend of a friend, we were walking home from this Pinacoteca one day, and we asked Gianni, who was a program leader, have you heard of anything that needs two girls to work and speak English? And he's like, no, I haven't. But wait. Have you heard of Sorrento? And that weekend, we actually booked this was like a Wednesday. And that weekend, we actually booked a trip to go down to the Amalfi Coast for a weekend trip. And we're like, no way, we're going to Sorrento this weekend. He's like, perfect, because my friend of a friend owns a bar there, and they need apparently two girls to work there and bar back and all this stuff. It's like, okay, great. So we go down that weekend for a weekend trip that we planned, and we meet the bar owner, and the interview was so funny. It was like, okay, you speak English, you're a real person, when do you want to start? And so
Really?
That was pretty much it. Yeah, it was so like shocking because I was like so nervous. The interview was like, do we have to speak Italian? But honestly, once I came to them all, because I realized, okay, more than often they need people that speak English. And so after our spring semester ended, literally the day after, we packed our things, moved down to Sorrento. We found this summer job at the bar, and lo and behold, I met a guy who was working at the bar, and now he's my husband. So, yeah, so we had an awesome summer. It was fantastic. Then I went back to the States. I had my last year at university, and he actually came to visit me, Luigi, my husband. He came to visit me for a little bit in November and December for his birthday, and then I flew back in February here to Italy for my birthday for a week. Then I flew back. May 2015, I graduated, and then literally a week after I graduated, I packed up my entire life and moved to Italy, and I've been here ever since. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Really intense story.
Yeah.
But it sounds like everything worked out the way it was supposed to.
Yeah, thankfully it did. And I was like, I really had no idea if I would or not, and I was just like, you know what? I've got nothing to lose. So.
Yeah. And why Rome? Why? Because you wanted to go to Italy specifically? As a country?
So as I grew up watching Lizzie McGuire, every time I came home from school, Lizzie McGuire was I was obsessed with Lizzie McGuire and Hilary Duff. And so when I saw the movie, I remember even watching it this throws me back to memories. My family, we had a massive minivan because I have three brothers. And back then, the TV in the car, if you were fortunate enough to have one, we had a minivan that was a pull down TV screen that's the size of smaller than my phone. And you put a DVD in the CD player part of the car, and you get to watch the movie. And I would always bug my three brothers because I was the only girl. I want to watch Lizzie McGuire. I was obsessed. And ever since she went to Rome, and I was like, it just seems so magical. And so I was like, I'm studying, no matter which university I go to, I know I'm studying abroad in Rome. That my heart was set on it.
As simple as that.
As simple as that. Because I just maybe it's a romanticism of Rome from the film, but it just seems so magical.
So you've never considered any other country or city? It was just Rome.
Rome for studying abroad, just Rome. But I did travel
so cool.
While I was studying abroad in Rome. Though we did a lot of weekend trips to other countries. I went to Portugal, Spain, Ireland, England, France, Amsterdam. I've been pretty much so many different locations. Europe itself is just so beautiful, and it's so affordable to travel everywhere, which is incredible.
Yeah. I guess that's a big difference with Europe and the US, right?
Oh my God, to fly in the US, it's so expensive. But it's much, much bigger. The distance is much longer between flights. While you drive,
that's true.
500 kilometers in a new country. So it's pretty crazy.
And was Rome what you expected it to be? Because it seems like you really had this big vision of what it would
Yeah,
be.
honestly, it was. It was. It was smaller than I imagined. I mean, at least I really just saw mostly central Rome because I was living just above in a neighborhood called Prati, just above the Vatican, which is a very, very nice neighborhood now looking back on it, through the housing apartments that our school had. And my school was near Piazza del Popolo. But to travel there, we always had to take the local bus or walk. And it was a very long walk, to be honest. I mean, we were mostly within like the historical walls of central Rome. It was very, very beautiful. I absolutely loved it. I loved how all the neighborhoods were so different. So it's very similar to like any other city. I feel like there's like, the Jewish ghetto neighborhood. There is like the fancier, like near the Vatican, in the Vatican itself. Before I moved to Italy, I had no idea the Vatican's like its own separate like state, country practically.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't know either before
they
I
had
went
their
to
own
Italy.
bank. They had their own everything. I had no idea. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
So that was something I learned. And like, honestly, it's also become, I think, in the recent years too, a very international city. Like I didn't realize how many universities, study abroad programs there were. So I met a lot of awesome international students as well, which is incredible. And yeah, it definitely succeeded my expectations, definitely.
When you went back after your semester or after that summer in Italy to finish university in the US, was it always the plan to then afterwards go live in Italy permanently?
Yes. I want to say yes, because in America, when you're studying abroad not studying abroad, when you're studying at university, usually you're going into your senior year practically knowing what job you have lined up after you graduate. And I had nothing lined up. And I feel like studying in Rome and then, of course, meeting Luigi and then also just seeing the Amalfi Coast, which is that really blew me away. I had no idea a place so beautiful existed on Earth. Like I was like, how do people not live here? And I'm from the suburbs of Philadelphia, very gray. Like we have the four seasons, but it's very gray and rainy, and there's flat and nothing to do. And I'm just like, I can't go back. There's no way. Like I have to go back to graduate. But I'm leaving. I'm getting out of there. Like I'm too big for this tiny place in Northeast Philadelphia. But even then, I even went to like a small place. I guess the Amalfi Coast, but the Amalfi Coast is so widely known that it feels almost international. And there are a lot of other expats here as well, which is really incredible. So it's, even though I live in such a small town, it feels more open and worldly than from the suburb town that I'm from.
That's really interesting that it is like that. But what about the actual like technicalities that come with moving to a completely different country? How did you do it? Like, did you plan it ahead or? Was it
I don't know if I should say this, but to be honest, I did not do it the right way. Let's just say that.
Okay.
I just packed my bags, like I'm gonna do it. And I went. And so I found a lot of work under the table. I was practically living here illegally for a long time. And then eventually I was like, you know what? I really should get my things in order. And thankfully, like me and Luigi's relationship, like I was very naive in that way because I was just like, you know what it is? I'd rather just do it and ask for forgiveness later. Like I'm a very like, you want to do it? Let's do it. Let's go. Like, I'm more action than words. So I like to get the things done. And then if something goes wrong, just ask for forgiveness later. Like it will get a slap on the hand and keep going.
It's a complete opposite from what we do because we have to plan everything, know how everything goes step by step.
But I think I don't know. Usually now as I'm getting older, I'm more like that because now I have like more responsibilities and stuff. But as a 22-year-old, I was just like, I got the world in my pocket. Let's go. But then, of course, like me and Luigi's relationship progressed, and things were like, you know what? Like, I think this is it. And so we decided to get married. And then, obviously, once we got married, we had our baby girl Chiara, who's now 4 years old, which is incredible. Time just flies by so fast. And then I also have my little boy, Sergio James, who is 9 months. And so once I got married, I was able to get the permesso di soggiorno, which allows me to stay I'm not an Italian citizen yet, but I think eventually I will apply for the citizenship, which would be really incredible.
Amazing. And what were a couple of maybe the biggest culture shocks that you noticed after moving there or are still noticing?
To be honest, there are some that still really shock me. One of them is the sense of time. Italians are either always running late or it's okay, don't worry about it. Like in the sense of like if you're not very precise, they're not very precise in their schedules. But that they're okay with it too. There's like they literally they don't stress themselves whatsoever about being on time, about even like with like a due date specifically, or like having like a schedule per se, like, oh, we must do it on this or by the specific date. They're like, yeah, we'll go along with it. But I'm very also too very precise when it comes to like having stuff like handed in on time. Like with school even, I was very much like that. And here they're so nonchalant. So that like passive, like, oh, don't worry about attitude took me a while to get adjusted to, and I'm still getting adjusted to it because I like I'm a very action person. I'm like, instead of saying it, let's do it. And so adjusting that is like pulling teeth a little bit, but I'm getting there. And not only that, but definitely the dialect. So a lot of people don't realize that in the south of Italy, specifically Amalfi Coast, Naples area, there is a local dialect that is spoken. And I want to say it's not only socially, it is even professionally, like between themselves, even at work, at a local bar, you will hear the Napolitano dialect. And so I studied Italian university, and when I was studying abroad in Rome, that helped me a bit for the basics. But really, once you were living there, you start to learn more of the language. But while I was living here in the south, along the Amalfi Coast, I not only was learning more Italian, but I was also learning Napolitano. And that dialect of Napolitano, which is from the local city of Naples, is completely different from Italian. And I'm still learning it to this day.
So you basically learn 2 extra languages.
Like 2 languages at once, practically. Like I knew the basics of Italian, but like perfecting Italian, but also I feel like I've been learning more Napolitano than Italian. And so now even apparently, as some Italians say, even when I speak Italian, I have a Napolitano like inflection, which is really funny to me. Because I don't hear, I feel like I hear my American accent, but maybe it's a mix of both, who knows. But yeah, definitely, of course, the language is a huge barrier that I had to overcome. And I'm still working on it. I do not speak perfectly Italian or Napolitano, but one day I will.
When did you start learning Italian? Did you go to Italy already with some knowledge, or?
So a little bit. So you either had to take a minimum of a class of Italian before you left to study abroad, and then also while you were there. You at least had to take Italian 1. And so I was like, you know what? I know I'm studying abroad in the spring semester. So the fall semester, I took Italian 1 at Temple University back in Philadelphia where I went. And then I took Italian 2 or 3, was it? I can't remember now. Think about it. Is that Italian 2 or 3 I took in actual Rome? Because I was like, I'm in the city of Rome. I need, regardless of how many classes I've taken previously, I need to be taking a Italian class because I just feel like it would be very ignorant per se to not learn more of the language in the city, in the country that is speaking the language. So I definitely did a third, I think it was Italian 3 now I look back on it, in Rome, which definitely helps with the grammar and structure. But of course, I'm sure, as you know, socially, it's comparing like apples to oranges, really. It's like the same language, obviously, but it's very different in how they're spoken. Like from textbook Italian to social Italian.
I mean, I've seen a couple of your videos of you speaking Italian, and I was very impressed.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yes.
Because you do know Italian.
I mean, a little bit. I had it in middle school, but I mean, it sounded very natural to me. I don't know much, but to me, and we're still trying to learn Spanish, or at least become more comfortable in speaking
because you guys are based in Spain, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and especially
Catalan. Do you speak Catalan?
No. We know none of that.
Where in Spain specifically?
Madrid.
Yeah. But we also
Okay.
had a little bit of issues because I remember in the first year, I was like afraid to speak Spanish and learning to understand actual Spanish speaking people because I also knew it from like textbooks and stuff. And then we had people from like different either parts of Spain or even different countries. Like we have girls from Venezuela in our class and they speak with a like pretty thick accent, I would say,
Yeah.
or just
So
a
it's hard
different
to
one.
understand.
Yeah. In the
Yeah.
beginning, I was like, they speak another language. Like this is not possible.
Oh yeah, I can almost. Oh my goodness, I can totally believe that. I have a good friend, Anna, who's she's a Spanish girl living in the States, and she's like, it's so funny because I feel like in the States too, a lot of the Spanish that people in the U.S. learn is Spanish from Mexico, so even the accent and some inflection changes. But yeah, Spanish itself too. Oh my goodness, is there any dialects in Madrid?
In Madrid, I'm not sure.
Within Madrid, I don't know. I mean, the people in Madrid say they don't have an accent and they speak a neutral Spanish.
It's like how
that's not
Americans
true.
say they don't have an accent and they speak normal English.
I saw a video about that the other day. It was really funny.
No, I love the videos where it's like, all right, we're gonna say this word, and like English says it like this, France says it like this, Germany says it like this, Italy says it like this, and then America's like, we're saying this. Is that okay? And I'm like, America, what are you doing? I love it. I love it.
I love those.
You're raising your children bilingual, English and Italian, right?
Yes.
And how has that experience been?
So that, oh my goodness, this has been kind of crazy actually. So, my daughter Kiana, Cedric James is too young, he's 9 months, but my daughter Kiana is 4, so she is definitely speaking. I try my best to always speak English to her, but she knows and sees me speak Italian as well. Because my husband and his family live, like, we're like practically they're separate apartments, but it looks like a big duplex. So they're like, his grandparents are just right below us practically. And then his sister is right next to us. And so, there's always Italian spoken because his parents don't speak English. His sister doesn't speak English. And I'm the only source of English. But of course, if I want to communicate to his sister or my parents-in-law, I have to speak Italian. And so she understands that I speak Italian. So maybe that's the reason why. But every time I speak English to her, she understands 100% what I'm saying in English, but she always responds in Italian. Now she's starting to get the sense, okay, English mom, Italian dad, and realize that she needs to practice more English and understands it's a separate language. Because I would say it was about when she was 3 years old, about a year ago, she said something in Italian, and I asked her, can you say that in English, please? And she said, I just did. I was like, no, that was Italian. But in her head, Italian and English are the same thing. Just like she understands equally, per se. But I think now with practice, because obviously in the school, she speaks Italian, learns Italian. And at home, I try to make sure that if she watches any films or movies, it's always in English. All her books are in English. Within the house, we try to speak English. Even my husband, because when I met Luigi, we met speaking English because his English was a lot better than my Italian at the time. So even now, to this day, me and Luigi still speak English to each other. So she sees within our house that we speak English. So I'm hoping that she'll adjust more and start speaking more. But it has been a challenge because living abroad not only comes as a challenge by adapting to a whole new culture, like by yourself. And then once you have kids, you want your kids to be part of your culture as well. But because they're growing up here, they definitely, I feel, maybe not identify just yet, but you can sense that they're feeling more Italian or more Spanish if you had kids in Spain. Like they're adjusting to more the culture that they're in the country that they're living in. And when you have kids, you want your kids to experience that culture that you grew up with, or your childhood. If you had a good childhood, you want them to experience moments from your childhood and connect with your side of the family as well. And it's quite difficult because you would think like, oh, now I can like communicate with her because she'll understand English as well as I do because I'm teaching her. But that's not yet the case. I mean, she's still only 4 years old, so we have time. But sometimes it can be kind of even more isolating and lonely because you see her become more more Italian than you will ever be. And it's hard sometimes, and it's really stressful, but I know with time and just with practice and speaking English, and it's completely natural for what she's doing. And just me being confident enough that like, no, she'll also be attached to the American culture as well. And especially this winter, that's one of the main reasons why we're going back to the States for 2 months this winter. Oh. So she can, I'm really excited. I'm also nervous because I feel like there's going to be a lot of reverse culture shocks, even for me.
Yeah, I've heard of those.
Oh,
I mean, we've experienced them too.
I'm so nervous. And I really hope she like really starts to see like, oh, this is America. Oh, they speak English here. And, I'll really start become more not even just closer to my family and friends, but also to the, like the American culture and the English language. But we'll see.
So does there have to be a certain like strategy teaching or trying to raise?
To be honest, I don't want to say Googled, but I TikToked a lot of like other moms or people, even specific people that do this as a job, that say, listen, for bilingual children, it's very common for them to do this. In almost all the videos I've always seen, it's always be consistent and just kind of stick to your mother tongue. So I'm mother tongue English, so I will have to be, solid and make sure I always speak English with her. And then my husband and Luigi, because his mother tongue is Italian, he will just always speak Italian with her. And so they know that they can identify, okay, with this person I have to speak English and this person I have to speak Italian, and just be consistent that way. And I think introducing like, I even think I have some friends too who grew up American Italian. Father was Italian, but she grew up in America. And in New York, she was even saying like her father even told her, and this is, back in the 90s, he's like, once you step out that front door, you speak English. But inside this house, you're speaking Italian and only Italian. So, like, they had strict rules that, like, in the house, one language. Outside the house, another language. But here it's quite difficult because I not live with them, but very close to my in-laws and sister-in-law, that it can be very difficult to be like, no, in this house. But then once they come upstairs, it's like, okay, you can speak Italian in this house.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll work out. I also, I grew up with my dad from the US and my mom from Switzerland, living in Switzerland. And wow. Yeah, so we had that same, struggle. And my grandparents from the US also said when they were here in the spring that they were actually afraid that they wouldn't be able to communicate with my sister and I because we wouldn't learn the English language. But we did it pretty much the same, where I just spoke English to my dad, and whenever he was home, and otherwise I spoke German. But
yeah. So, wow, that's incredible. So what language do you fall more so default, do you think?
At this point, I mean, it depends. When I'm here in Spain, I speak a lot of English, and I also have classes in English. So I'd say English more. Okay. And when I'm in Switzerland, I kind of fall back into the German, but I feel like it's very even.
Even? And then how's your Spanish coming along?
Working on it.
Yeah. It's in the works.
Yeah, we understand a lot, and we have classes in Spanish, and that's fine. We're just the speaking. We're a bit scared.
I think we're also kind of self-conscious because people do tend to tell us like, no, you're fine, like we understand you can express yourself well, but we're still like, I don't know.
No, that's the thing. You make mistakes. Make mistakes because you will not learn if you don't. And this is probably bad advice, but if you're doing if you're doing any exam in English, and my Italian teacher told me this, so it's not for me. It said if they're have a little drink before your verbal language, because verbally you speak your second language, or whatever language you're learning, a little bit easier, because your frontal cortex, that's basically saying no, that's holding you back, loosens up a bit, and you can start to talk easier. But obviously, don't go crazy.
Honestly, that's true, because I mean, when I have a little bit of wine or something, I just feel so much more confident.
The Spanish comes out.
Yeah. It comes out of me. The Spanish person go.
Yeah. But what you said about the mistakes, it's kind of funny to me because I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. So it's difficult for me to actually make mistakes, but I know that's how you learn.
No, yeah, just make mistakes and just go for it. Just just go out there and just start speaking. Like, that's the best way. And a lot of people even ask me, like, how do you learn English or how do you learn Italian? And I said, literally, the best way to learn the language is just immerse yourself in the place where they speak it. So in the country, in a local town where like no one else speaks English or no one else speaks Italian or Spanish. And because I know a lot of people are like, how do I learn English? Help me. And like, you can learn so much in university, of course, like take as many courses. But I always say the best thing you could do is go study there, go live there, because trust me, they're not like just to buy breakfast in the morning or coffee in the morning. You're going to have to learn a few phrases or two. And, you know, and it gives you like the worldly experience of learning a language as well.
So how much did you actually speak the first time you went there to study? Like, did you really try to force yourself to use the language?
So, okay, I'm not gonna lie. So, in Rome, every time I went out with my friends, there was always any Italians that we met or whatever, they would always speak English with us, always. Like, that's another thing I want to mention. I am so so thankful that I live in Italy, but I realized how privileged I am to have grown up in the U.S. Or grown up in a country in the first country where English is the first language. And I'm so privileged that I grew up in the US for that reason, because I feel like English is the unofficial language of the world, because Sorrento itself in the Amalfi Coast is a very international visited tourist location. And I remember one time I was working in an art gallery, and this person, I was a Spanish person and like a German person, I want to say, and they didn't understand. This German person did not understand Spanish, and the Spanish person did not understand German, but they were communicating via English. And so I'm just like, I'm so thankful that like I speak English, so I could connect to pretty much almost everyone. And yeah, I really realized how fortunate I am for that reason.
That's true. I mean, that's how we communicate. We speak English.
Yeah. And when I first came here, Italian was definitely, my level of Italian was nowhere near what it is now. I basically like, I could put simple phrases like, hi, my name is, like, where is the bathroom? Dove al bagno? Like, this cup is red. That's another thing too. I feel like sometimes applications, when you're learning and practice them, they're great, but they say certain phrases or things that you're like, whenever am I going to say the blonde lady's eating a cake? Like, when am I ever going to say that?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Duolingo is kind of famous for these weird phrases.
Yeah, but I mean, it's great to like keep up the vocab, I feel like.
For sure.
But when it comes to the vocab, 100%, but when it comes to real world situations, you just have to experience it, because then when you're in the moment, that's when you really learn. Yeah, definitely.
How long have you been in Italy for now?
So, what year is it?
2023. Almost 24.
Where's the time gone? So I moved here in May 2015, so 8 years, just over 8 years. Yeah.
Wow. And what's your connection to the U.S. like after having lived abroad for so long?
Oh, I feel so strange. I feel like a tourist when I go back to the U.S. every time. And there's things that I forget. I went back this past February for like a hot second for an event I had to go to. And the beds, I forgot about box springs, which like, for an American, that's so like, yeah, that's normal. But for us, it's like the bed is so high. I have to jump on top to get on top of the bed. Like, why is it so high?
And it doesn't have the back or whatever it's called. No, it's just like
the bedboard.
Yeah.
No, no. So the box spring. So even explaining it right now, it's like, why do you even have those? Like, so there's the mattress on the bed, but underneath the mattress, they put a hollow wooden mattress. Basically, it's like a mattress made out of wooden planks that's hollow to support the mattress, so the mattress can last longer and make the bed taller. It's called a box spring. And some might also have springs in it too, so make the bed bouncy. I think what the box spring does, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm probably going to Google this right after this. I think it's because it helps the mattress like last longer. It like doesn't break the mattress in as much. It releases pressure on it. But it also makes the bed like so much taller. So if you're a short person, like I'm not that short, but like still, it's a jump.
And is there something you really miss?
Ooh, okay. Apart from like obviously my family and friends, I miss them so much. I think it's accessibility. Accessibility in the sense of like, okay, I want a taco at 3 a.m. in the morning. I know I can call someone up and they can deliver it directly to my house, but via Uber Eats or Grubhub and get it right then and there, and within minutes. Or if I need to go shopping, I know I can go to like one store and find everything I need to buy. While here, it's very much like, no, you also need to go to this store. You need to go to the fruit market. You need to go to the machaderia. Then you can go to Conad to go buy something. Like it's all over the place. While in America, it's very like one stop and go.
That's true. When I went to visit, it was a little bit overwhelming because in Europe, like we're not used to a store like that. I guess like Target or I don't have any other example.
I can spend an entire day in Target. It's dangerous.
Yeah. So it was a little bit of shock, but it is kind of practical, I would say, because you can find everything within that one store.
Exactly, yeah.
I want to backtrack a little bit, maybe. How did you tell your family that you're going to move to Italy? Or did they know? Was it more of a like continuous
To be honest, this
thing?
might sound really like crazy, but like when I moved here, I don't think I comprehended that this was like a final move or like that this was going to be a permanent thing. I was just like, I'm just going to see how it goes. Like I really had no idea what was in store for me. I just like I'm just gonna go with the flow, see what happens. And I didn't realize how pertinent it was until looking back on it now. And my mom wrote an amazing letter. My mom was 100% supportive. Granted, my family, we're all over the place. My parents divorced when I was younger, but my dad's down in Florida. My mom's near suburbs of Philadelphia. I have a brother who his wife is from Manchester, England, so he lives in England. I live in Italy. My other two brothers live in Florida, but like in different areas. One of my brothers works for like NASA and like he's probably going to go into space. Like we're all over the place.
Literally all over. Not even the earth.
Yeah, so I knew how to live on my own. I was always very like individualistic and like just, I know where I'm going. I'm just going to go. Like and I'm so thankful too that I came from a family that's very supportive of that. Especially my mom, she wrote me an amazing letter. She's like, I'm so excited for what is in store for you, Sarah. You've no idea. And like, I just can't wait for the things to come. And I was just like, oh yeah, Mom, okay, thanks. Bye. See you later. Like, like didn't realize I was like, oh wait, looking back, I've been here for 8 years now. It's like, oh wow. Okay. This is kind of the real deal. But even then, though, like you never know. Like a lot of people even ask me, "Do you think you'll ever move back to the States?" I think I would maybe, but I'm never gonna say never. Not right now, but that ultimately I think depends on like how the opportunities progress, whether it comes between work and other things, and then of course it's like Kiara, my kids grow up and they want to like live in the States and then raise their families in the States. I want to be near my grandkids, but that's way down the road. But we'll see. But for now, I'm happy in Italy.
And did you ever regret leaving? Maybe in the beginning when the whole transition was a bit
To be
difficult?
honest, so a lot of people don't realize the Amalfi Coast area specifically is very seasonal. The work is seasonal. It's from Easter to Halloween. So like April time to roughly end of October. And then once October, November hits, things quiet down. All the tourists leave. Only the locals, which is very few of us. And this town is a very summer town. So there's not a lot of winter activities or things to do during the winter. There's like holiday events. But people don't really go out much, especially if the weather's bad. We don't go for walks anymore. And it gets very lonely and secluded and boring, to be honest. That's when I kind of miss living in a city in the winter time. I miss living in the city in the winter. Because also too, if I think about it, I lived and studied in Philadelphia, the city, at Temple University for 4 years. Then for one of that semesters, which is roughly 4 months, I lived in Rome, and then 3 months in Sorrento. But while I was studying abroad this 4 years in Philadelphia, my mom and like my mom's house is back in the suburbs. So rural, we have a yard, we have garden, there's roads, you can walk around, small town. Then, but I had my apartment in the city. So anytime I got sick of the city, I could always escape on the weekends to my mom's house, and vice versa. Anytime I was like, all right, I need to go back to the city. I need to see some action. I need people doing stuff. Then I go to the city. Granted, we do have Naples, but it's very different from like the city that I imagine. And so I kind of miss that busyness. Like I'm such a go-go person, and I'm very much a social butterfly. So like I miss meeting new people every single day, and like I love it. It's comforting to be able to walk down the road and run into people I know consistently, but like, and it's safe. It's safe. I love it for my kids, but for me myself, I feel like it is very much a bubble. So I would probably even consider getting an apartment somewhere like maybe in Rome or Milan at some point. Because I want that city vibe. I miss that a lot, actually. So I think that's the reason why I visited Milan not too long ago. That was like, feels like New York City, like the typical movies, American movies, the small town girl.
I think I saw your TikTok about it. It was really cute.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I feel so endless. And people are like, Milan? Like, but it's different. It's different when you live in a city and when you visit a city. I don't know if I would want to live in the city, but I like visiting it a lot. And yeah.
You said you mentioned like missing family and friends. How do you go about like maintaining the relationships with them, like so long distance?
So, oh man, this is another thing. So it's really difficult, to be honest. Thank goodness for smartphones. WhatsApp, FaceTime, all that good stuff. Thank goodness for that. I try to keep up as much as possible. I like to plan like every weekend or Sunday, so I know my family's not off work usually, that we can call and chit chat there. I have some few friends that, like, to be honest, they're some of my closest friends. There's like maybe 2 or 3 of them. But to be honest, I don't talk to them very often, but I think it's because we're all so busy with our lives, but we all like follow, like look at each other's stories on Instagram. So it's like almost, even though I know you're not talking to me, I know what's happening in your life. And like we know we're updated. I feel like this generation, I mean, millennials and also Gen Z, I feel like because we see you on social media, it's almost like I'm talking to you, even though I'm not. But then sometimes we do have to do that check-in, like, oh, hey, how are you? Like, let's actually catch up. Especially now in this, between your age, the 20s and 30s, there's so much happening. Kids are getting married, people are getting new jobs, moving to new cities, getting married, having kids, and then suddenly it's like it catches up to you and you're 40. Well, I'm 30, but like you're 40 and you're like, where did my life go? Like, so just always trying to like reach out, even if it's just like a little simple, like, hey, how are you? Or like, all good, like, oh, I thought of you today. Like, even just like saying I thought of you today, it's like such a great thing. Like, I'll have moments where like something happens at the bar and something falls over. It reminds me of that one moment when I was studying abroad and like I got so drunk on one night that like I knocked over something, and then I mentioned to my friends, and I was like, those nights were so much fun. Like, and just kind of reaching out to those people that you really, really care about. And then, of course, you also realize studying abroad, and I'm sure you guys have noticed as well, living abroad, that those who reach out to you are the ones that are worth it. Because I've learned over the years that your time becomes so invaluable. You can make all the money back in the world. You can see all the countries you want in the world, but you can never get the time back that you lose. Never. Like, that's the one thing that's not guaranteed. Yeah. And so I try to value my time as much as possible. And so I do it to those who also value my time as well.
We had a couple of people reach out to us that they're, I think, either like just starting to study abroad or they've been there for a couple of months, and they do like struggle with not maybe connected with the people they knew or like their friends, and they're thinking, is this bad? Is this good? Yeah.
No, so
but I guess it is the way it is, like the ones who are worth it. Yeah.
No, honestly, it's completely normal and it's okay. Like, and it's also really hard because when you do study abroad or even live abroad, to me, almost sometimes it's hard because you feel like, or at least I felt like that when I left the US, that when I left, I just hit like pause. Like I paused a TV show. I hit pause. I'm watching this now. And then when I go back, I expect to be able to hit play and start where I left off. But that's not it. Like I remember one time specifically where I went back and I was like, I saw my dad had gray hair. Like he let his hair go gray. I'm like, when did that happen? Like, or I saw more wrinkles on my friends' faces when they smile, or my mom's face. Just like it's like night and day. And when you think about like, wow, I miss so much. It's so hard. Like those lives don't pause. They keep going on, just like how yours keeps going on here. And like it's hard to also explain the experiences while you're studying abroad. The experiences you're experiencing to someone who's never experienced it, who's never lived abroad. Especially, I feel like in America. I mean, now people are traveling more, especially after COVID and everything. It's hard to explain to people that like have never even left the country what it's like coming abroad and like how different it is and like how okay it is for it to be different. There's not just one way to live your life. There's not one way, like one perfect country. Like America has its problems. Europe and Italy and Spain and Germany, each country and continent on this planet has its own problems. And just being able to like experiencing that and trying to explain it to someone, whatever it may be. Like today, I ordered a croissant in Italian, and your friend was like, "Okay, yeah, I just go to Starbucks and like get a croissant." It's like, but no, like you don't realize this accomplishment for me. Like, I like, and it was amazing too. And it's hard, and it's okay for people not to understand. You just try to express as much as you can, and those who are willing to listen to you and like reach out, the ones who are willing to reach out to you, are the ones that are worth it. The ones who are willing to try to understand what you're experiencing, or those who are just like just supporting you along the way. 100%.
Did you have anyone to maybe relate to or like talk to in the first few weeks, months, or years when you moved abroad? Because I know it is a very like difficult situation. Like, how did you deal with that?
So, it was very difficult. I would say I definitely leaned on my husband a lot. But it's also different because he's living in the country that he's always grew up in. So it's him, it's home. So it's normal for him. So that's why also too, I feel like expats specifically, they all find each other. So I have a friend who was from Sweden. She was one of my closest friends. A girl from England as well. Another girl from Scotland. We all find each other and we all connect. And that's another thing I want to bring up too, like making friends here is so hard. Like it's a whole other ball game, but you really do then connect to, even if you're not like, they're not from America, but they're an expat, they're stranieri living here. So we connect in that way and we conversate like, like it's so strange how we have to do this here, but at home it's different. And so it was very difficult in the beginning. But I'm a very open person. So I always, maybe I'm a little too open that like it'd be like overwhelming, but I try to be as friendly as possible to like befriend people. And then once, after the first meeting, you realize, okay, like I vibe with you. Okay, good. All right. Yeah, we connect. Or maybe not so much because not only that, you want to find other people like you who are also expats, but you have small pickings from a bunch, just because you're expats living in a country doesn't mean you're going to be the best of friends, which is totally okay. So that's why just trying to just get yourself out there and even meet even locals, of course. Like there's definitely some locals too who like speak English, who have studied abroad, who have experienced what you experienced, but in a different area. And just don't be afraid to get out there. Yeah.
And looking back on these 8 years, what would you tell to the version of you who was on this plane flying out to Italy?
Oh my God. What would I say to her? I would say, what would I say to her? I would say thank you. I would say thank you. Just thank you. Yeah. Because I don't think there could be anything I could say right now that would change her mind because she was just so set on going that, yeah, if I didn't do that, I wouldn't be here today. So I would say thank you.
That's really nice because I can see on your face how happy you are, like with your life and like where you live. It
Yeah.
really like I can see it like in your face, and it's really nice. And
Yeah,
it's
I'm like
honestly,
almost about
it
to
makes
cry.
me a little. It makes me a little less scared because I don't really know what I'm gonna do after I finish the university because. Like, I will have been here for 4 years, but do I want to do masters? Do I not? But, like, knowing or hearing your whole experience and your story, it makes me a little less scared. So thank you.
Yeah, no, oh my God, of course. Like, and honestly, like, not knowing is the most exciting thing. Like, just think about that. You have no idea what's gonna happen. So that means literally anything could happen, like for good and bad. So just like be so excited about that. Like, oh, you literally have the whole world in your pocket, your whole future ahead of you, and just be excited for the unknown because honestly, what the exciting stuff, the fun and exciting stuff that happens is outside of your comfort zone. So not knowing is the most exciting thing.
How nice.
That's great advice.
So this was, I think we didn't say a name. I'm so sorry. So this
Okay,
is Sarah Thompson.
Hi.
That's true. We never introduced.
Never introduced her.
Oh my God,
This
don't
is
worry
Sarah
about it.
Thompson.
Spoken.
Sarah, thank you so
I have
much.
one more question.
Okay.
You have a travel business, right?
True.
Yes.
Called
Luxama Travel.
Luxama Travel. Am I pronouncing that right?
Yeah, Luxama.
And so I just wanted to end on.
Luxama.
Okay. So I just wanted to end on maybe like a travel tip that you could give to anybody who wants to go to the Amalfi Coast.
Okay, so my biggest travel tip is definitely for the Amalfi Coast specifically, I would say yes to everything. Say yes to everything because you don't know when you'll be back again. And especially specifically the Amalfi Coast, it is such a nice area. It's safe. Say yes to everything. Get yourself out there and pack light because if you're doing those steps in Positano, oh man, it is a workout. So you can always buy stuff here. So pack light and leave the heels at home.
I don't wear heels, so we're good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I always talk about wanting to go back to Italy. I don't think I have visited it enough because we used to go with my family for, I think, summer vacation to like do hikes in the mountains. But like as an adult, I think I only went like 2 years ago to Rome and I need to go more. So maybe I'll come visit.
Yeah, oh my God. You're welcome anytime.
Perfect.
Yeah. That was the last thing I wanted to know.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So again,
thank you
so much for coming.
Thank you, Christina.
We had a
This
really
is awesome.
nice time. Like I can't stop smiling.
I was so nice talking to you girls, and oh my God, I'm so excited for what you have in store. I love what you're doing. I think it's amazing. And enjoy studying in Spain and living in Spain. You'll have an amazing time. I know it. You've got this.
Much.
Of course.
Thank you.
Bookclub!
So, congratulations. You finished your horrible book. Well, just because of me, I would like to say.
Took me 4 months. Yes. At one point, Christina looked at me and she said, "You will take this book with you." She counted the pages and she was like, "How many did I have left?"
I think like 14.
Like
it was
14.
almost nothing.
And she was like, "Okay, when you leave this house, you take it, you finish it on the train, and you move on with your life."
And you did.
And I did.
Did you start the other one?
Yes. Because I bought a new book because we've been saying that we need books to like. Yeah, like, like, what's the word? That we can really, like, submerge ourselves in. And that we want to continue reading. And so I got the book Happy Place by Emily Henry because I've heard great things about that. And I feel like it's the type of book that just takes you all in.
I think
so I started that.
I think I read the book, the beach, what was it called?
Beach.
Not just beach, like beach love or.
I was gonna say beach lovers, but it's book lovers, so I don't think it's beach.
But it was something like that because it had like similar book cover.
Yeah,
style.
they're all. Yeah, you can see that they're connected.
But I didn't like that one that much. Oh. I think it was pretty, like, predictable, and the story wasn't any original. It was about the two people writing, like writers, and they were living next to each other in the house or something. She came there for a vacation, I think. Then they fell in love, blah, blah, blah. But I don't know. I don't know.
They were living next to each other, and she went to his apartment for
I don't know. I don't remember. But I bought it in the... You know how we did the bookstore tour?
Yeah. Oh, you bought it there?
I bought it in the tiny place. I don't know what it was.
Desperate Literature?
I think so. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Anyways.
I'm reading that now. And Christina has also made great progress.
Yeah. Honestly, I think last week when we were talking about it, I was like, somehow, again, I don't know how to say this. After half? No. Behind the half? I don't know how to say this.
You read more than half the book.
Yeah. And now I have like 47 pages left.
Which, you should say how long the book is.
Yeah, it's like 570 pages or something.
I was saying like 47 pages for some books, that's like half the book. But I mean, this is like that's just the finale, basically.
Yeah. But, maybe I will take you up on your advice and finish it and talk about it next week. Because I have a lot to say. You
can give a whole, like, recap and review.
Which the book is The Robber Bride by Margaret Atwood. We should say. So I'll tell you more next week when I finish it. And then... I can't remember. I think I mentioned The Ultimatum Queer Love last week, right? Mm-hmm. That I watched that. And I also watched during the... I don't know how... But somehow, I managed to watch a lot of stuff.
I know. I don't know what... Because whenever, like, I walk into your room, or whenever I talk to you about everything you achieved during the day, you're always doing stuff, and then somehow you also manage to watch these shows.
Yeah, I don't... I think the thing is they're not that long, Because it's like a reality TV show. Yeah. So it has, like, 10 episodes. And they were pretty, like, short. I was... surprised that the last I don't know if I finished the sentence, but I watched The Ultimatum Marry, Move On, which is the heterosexual version. The second season came out and I watched that, and the reunion, the last like episode, was I think like 38 minutes, which is nothing. Like usually it's like over an hour. It's almost like a movie, and this time it was super short, so I was surprised. And I guess that's maybe like why, like if it has like 30-40 minutes, then it's fine.
That's true.
But I also started watching Surviving Summer because the second season came out. I completely forgot about that show. I think I watched it, I guess, last year, and I completely forgot about it.
Nothing about that show.
And I wasn't very motivated to watch it, but then I was like, I don't have anything else to watch because I finished all the ultimatums and everything. And honestly, I don't hate it. I'm enjoying it. There's a really cute guy. Maybe that's why I'm enjoying it. And like the story, I think they're playing it really well. Like there's almost no awkward moments. And
what is it? A comedy, drama?
It's based in Australia, and it's about surfing and like these group of friends trying to go pro. And
that sounds fun.
Yeah, honestly it is. But you know what I realized? One of the main girls is 18 right now, which means she had to be like 15, 16 when they started filming.
See, these things...
Which is insane to me. And like the other actors were around like 21. So I was like, oh my, I'm almost like older than these people at this point.
Everybody's younger than us at this point.
This is insane. Because usually, like, I remember, like, back in the days where we were, like,
that also makes you sound old.
Yeah. When they were playing actors, like, they were probably our age or older, like, our age now, or playing older teenagers. In real world, playing teenagers.
Like High School Musical.
They were all older. But now it's, like, kind of the other way around.
Yeah. Or at least they're the age.
I got confused. But you know what I mean. What I'm trying to say. We're just old. That's basically what we're trying to say. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is it. I'm going to tell you about my book more next week.
And I've been watching a lot of documentaries for reasons that I cannot explain. I just have. So I have a lot of knowledge about very specific topics. So this week I watched a documentary called Lula Rich, which is about the company LuLaRoe, which
I've never heard of it.
Me neither.
What? Why did you watch it then? That's the outside reasons.
Which is basically about a company that was in the US, like a clothing company, which it was a pyramid scheme. They continuously, up to this day, say they were not a pyramid scheme. It was very interesting to see, like, they talked to a lot of people who were involved in it. They actually interviewed the founders and the ones who are still the CEOs to this day. Like, they got an interview with them. And it kind of just talks about how, because they became huge within no time because they were able to recruit so many people, and it just talks about how they were able to recruit this many people, how they were able to keep them motivated and kind of build up this pyramid scheme. It also talks a lot about the difference in between pyramid schemes and multi-level marketing, which I was not aware that there was a difference, but I mean, one of them's legal, the other one's illegal, so that's very interesting. And then the other one I watched was called Little White Lie, which was a documentary about, I mean, I was gonna say I don't want to spoil it, but I mean, it's somebody's real life. Basically, it's about this girl. She's born into like a white Jewish family, and she's looking back at it now, very obviously not white, but everybody told her she was white, and her parents told her the reason why she had like such a dark complexion or whatever was because of a great-grandfather who was from Sicily who had like darker skin or whatever, and everybody just believed it. And it's just about her like figuring out like who she actually is, and
that's insane.
That whole story. Yeah, it's crazy.
But it's like a documentary but played.
No, like she made it herself about her life, basically. She interviewed her parents. She interviewed like people she knew as a child, people she knew growing up. Like it's really interesting, and it's really well done, because obviously like it caused a lot of identity issues within herself. And yeah, that was a really good documentary too. So I recommend those two. Yeah. Very different topics, so take whatever you want.
So we'll see you next week. Enjoy.
Song of the
we
week.
Hope you enjoyed this
Song
whole
of
episode.
The week. Christina, every time I think you already forgot it last time.
I'm excited about Yao Yao because we're going to celebrate our podcast birthday. Oh, we could mention that.
Yeah.
Because we're celebrating 2 years of our podcast.
Yeah. Tomorrow.
And we have a tradition to go get Yao Yao because that's how it all came about.
That's where it was born.
Yes. So I'm very excited about that. So sorry for rushing this. Okay, what do you have?
I'm going to say Tourniquet by Zach Bryan.
Okay. Mine, maybe I can go with Heartbreak Girl from 5 Seconds of Summer.
Oh!
Because we have a concert. They have a concert on Sunday where we're going. And so I've been listening to them a lot. And this song I just fell in love with really hard. I don't know if I knew it before. So here you go.
They might not play it though. You have to. It's when they throw the die, we don't know, into the audience, you need to make sure it rolls on that side.
I didn't know about the whole thing. I literally thought they were going to take a dice and just...
No, like it's a gigantic...
That's insane.
So make sure.
But it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
We're going to be in the first row, maybe.
We still have to establish a plan, but there will be a plan.
So you'll hear about that too next week. Bye.
Bye. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode.
If you want to get in touch, you can find all of our information in the description below.